What is up, everybody? It's over Syria today, and we have to talk about this Final Fantasy 16 controversy about the diversity in this game. Now, if you don't like me hearing talking, if you don't like me here, if you don't like to hear me talk about race or politics, then you might want to skip this video. But we're gonna delve deep into those subjects in this one video because apparently the director, producer of Final Fantasy 16 was asked questions about diversity in Final Fantasy 16 because I guess he was like, "Hey, there's a lot. There's not. We don't see any black characters or any brown people in this game." So I guess he was asked, like, "Is there gonna be diversity in this game? Can we expect to see black characters in Final Fantasy 16?" And then the guy, let me see the guy who I'm actually, the Naoki Yoshida's the producer. He gave his explanation. I'm not about to read all of it. It was a long, drawn out explanation. He could have just said no comment. Would have probably been a smarter thing to say no comment, or just say, hey, we don't want black people in this game for whatever reason. But he gave this long, drawn out explanation about, hey, he was in medieval times. We don't want to get into controversy or conflict. And it was a long, drawn out explanation that was like at least like multiple paragraphs worth of an answer. It's like, really, just so you don't want black people in the game. Because it's kind of like, you using the whole, it's a fantasy setting, and as this medieval period, there's no black people, doesn't make any sense because it's a fantasy setting. Like, how are you having dragons and flying ships and stuff like that, but saying we can't put black people in the game, or the mention of medieval Europe, like just black people just didn't exist in medieval Europe or any of those time periods. And like, really? So when did black people start existing? Only in the 1970s? Like, it's just hilarious. But at the end of the day, this wasn't gonna like stop me from buying the game or buying the game. I don't even know if I'm even gonna buy this game to begin with, because like I haven't really checked out anything about this game to know if I'm gonna buy it or not. So this wasn't gonna sway my opinion either way, if it was black people or not black people. It was like, I don't care either way. I'll have to say. And it's like, yeah, black people are really upset about this. Then it's time for you to maybe black people start making their own video games. If this is really that much of an issue, because it's kind of like, at this point, it's just like, well, I don't know what you expect. Mainly these people, the Asian game journalists, the Asian game developers, to put black people in their games. They don't want to, don't have to. I mean, it is their game, so I'd say black people should just make their own stuff at this point. If you really want to see a huge black representation in fantasy settings like this, it's like. And then people was using some of the counter arguments to say, hey, there is some black people in some of these Square Enix games because we got the new game coming up, Forspoken, which has a black main protagonist. But it's kind of like, well, when they do that, it's kind of like the game, like Forspoken is like it's gonna be that great of a game to begin with. So it's like, it's not like a big budget, like a must-have game that these black characters are always like the main, the protagonists of. It's always like some throwaway game concept that you see these black characters the main protagonists of, because if that game doesn't sell well, there's gonna be like, hey, see, look what happens when you put a black person as the main character. The game doesn't do that well, so, or some nonsense like that's probably like the new narrative. But like I said, that Forspoken game doesn't look that great to begin with. It looks like it's pretty mediocre. So, or they were saying that, hey, there is other characters that's been black in Final Fantasy games, like the character from Final Fantasy 13 with the afro. I didn't play 13 because that was one of the worst Final Fantasy games. Like I played maybe like an hour of that game. I wasn't really feeling that 13 game. But there's a black character in that game, and we have Barret from Final Fantasy 7 and the remake of Final Fantasy 7, which that guy is like a complete stereotype. Like he has the whole. He sounds like one of the black exploitation type characters. That's what he sounds like. So it's kind of a stereotype. So I just don't understand why they just kind of like just the average black person being in these games, like even as a side character or whatever. It's just like they just say, hey, there's no black people in this game. I was like, I mean, it's their game. They can do what they want with it. It's just like it's just their vision of how they want to do the game. It's like it is what it is at that point. So I just say, but if you really got a problem with it, if you are a black game developer, maybe you need to make more fantasy games with black people in it. And I was like, that's all you really do about this, bro. Well, let's see what people got to say about this. This feels like a lot of words to say we don't want to work on skin tones. They even put in historical accuracy bit that gets tried out by racists. But like in all honesty, like in Japan's defense, because I would say like their most recent anime styles, the most recent like, because I'm always just look at anime and their video game stuff like that from Japan. So, in anime wise, there is like occasionally a black character that's just like a normal black character, it's not like a stereotype, because when anime was first big, especially when I first started watching anime, a lot of the black characters were like pretty much stereotypes, just negative stereotypes at that. Like, because Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, we had characters that was barely, they could barely even speak. Each time they speak was like complete gibberish. Which I didn't know that as a kid, but as an adult, I was reflecting on some of this stuff as an adult. I'm like, this is really messed up. They had like the Mr. Popo character, like the only black character in Dragon Ball Z, but he's like a servant or whatever. So, or like Naruto, with the first black character they ever showed was Killer B, and he's like all he does is rap, like cringy at that. So then later on in Naruto, you saw like the other like black village people that village, and I was like they were normal people. So I don't know. I think anime has come a while. Their perceptions of having black characters in general in their media is changed over time because you got black characters now like in My Hero Academia who's like just normal people who just happen to be black, or in Attack on Titan had a black character in that who wasn't just a stereotype. So it's like at the end of the day, like I said, black people want to see more stuff for like anime, them in anime or video games. You gotta be part of the creative process and actually make that content. So it's like I don't see this changing any other way. So it is what it is on that. But I have so many frustrated, irritated, and fed up feelings about all of this, and honestly, I'm just going to shut the hell up. So much BS here. They have had plenty, so what's the point here other than a virtue signal? Me looking for why is difficult. It's obviously their right to do whatever they want to do with their game, creative license and whatnot, but this is a gargantuan L of an answer from Yoshi P. The answer was just so ridiculous. Like, it was such a long, drawn-out just bit of nothingness. So, like, you could just say, hey, no comment, if we just don't want to put black people in this game. Just make it simple as that. But this long, drawn-out PR answer is just like, it's just, nobody's going to accept, nobody's going to go rock with that answer right there. Someone should have tell them they can do whatever they want with their fantasy series. You create a world where lizard people and elves live alongside humans, and somehow medieval Europe has discovered flight. You can't play the grounded in reality or a technical constraints card. Yeah. Just a bizarre answer. Game still is going to be fire, though, so I'm in. Yeah, so this is the character from Final Fantasy 13. But then again, like I said, they did have a black representation in these games, but it's like, who really played 13 like that? Like 13 was that game was regarded as one of the worst Final Fantasy games in history. So that's not a. It's like that's the one time we got a good black representation, but it's not really that the game isn't that great. So, let's see. Wait. All they had to do in the universe was say 1,000 years before the Blight isolated Valetea, the country maintained a thriving partnership with a sister state from across the southern seas. Boom, melanin. Final Fantasy has so many medieval-esque games that nobody really gives a damn if you don't keep Eurocentric features on characters. I mean, it's in the name Final Fantasy. This is the problem where Eurocentric features are seen as the default. Yeah, that's kind of true, because even with their anime, it was like the anime characters, you know, they're Asian, their anime characters always portrayed as like being white people, I guess. Because even like I said, like reference to Dragon Ball Z once again, the main character's power-up move was turned into a person with blonde hair and blue eyes. And it's like, what Asian person you know who has blonde hair and blue eyes? That's normally like that. You don't. Japanese gaming industry needs to get over their obsession with white. There's a lot of races, a lot of race focus and political focus questions on this. So. Like I said, I gave you the disclaimer in the beginning. That's what this video is going to be about. So don't be shocked now. What the actual F? Is this real? Please pardon me. I have learned to hate diversity and representation because I was painfully miss old school good storytelling. Video game designers should really stop talking and using medieval history without at least a bit of research into those periods. It kind of makes me sad when people nowadays main diversity identifier as a skin color. Overly political grifters are so narcissistic that they have to see themselves in everything, and this is further proof. I mean, people who are saying this are probably the demographic who are as default in everything. So it's kind of like, really? If you're the demographic who's in everything by default, then it's like, of course you have no problem with this. You have no problem with them, what they're saying. But it's like, okay. I love to stop seeing people claim historical accuracy as the reason they want to include dark-skinned characters in their fantasy settings. You're creating a world with magic in it. Damn the accuracy. Yeah, like the same thing would happen with like I think it was like the Game of Thrones or the Lord of the Rings franchise that just came out, the TV shows. People were mad that there were black elves in the show. Like, really? It's a show about elves, but you're hung up as over people that are the black in the show. Like, really? They're using magical spells, but you're mad that there's black characters in it. I just don't understand that. People whose story we can resonate with, not black people, though. Yeah, so this was a big discussion on. Apparently, people really just don't want to see black people in fantasy settings for whatever reason. I think they just say, hey, black people should just be, I don't know, just be put in like urban settings or just like modern settings. But if it's like anything that's fantasy, you just want to see black people in it. I don't know, or sci-fi or whatever. I'm so sick of these dumb arguments for why ninjas can't be in fantasy media. I doubt Yoshida is racist or anything, but the fact that worldwide it's just accepted that black people didn't exist in medieval times is just accepted as truth, despite it not being true. It's just, it is kind of weird. Question asked by a hack journal that wanted to stir the pot successfully, at least be transparent that you want to be a craphead. This really is a disappointing and ridiculous answer. I get so tired of games using the medieval Europe defense. For one, it wasn't all white people. For two, it's your fictional and made up fantasy world. You control it just so you don't want BIPOC folks is faster. People are really, like I said before, people are really angry about this. At the end of the day, I don't really care. It's like, that wasn't going to be my deciding factor of getting this game or not getting the game. I don't really care at the end of the day. Let's see. This is the longest way to say we don't like black people I've ever seen. Black people exist in medieval Europe. Thinking that they didn't just reflects that you didn't do your homework. This is very racist. Very interesting how, judging from the trailer, the game seems to have Infrit and Bahamut, both based on Arabic traditions, as well as Shiva based on Hindu traditions. How did those guys end up in the ethno-state island? Yeah, a lot of different think pieces going on in the comment section, but once again, oh man, what a pickle the Final Fantasy creators got themselves into with this one. Well, like I said, it is kind of crazy because you know many black people just love what Japanese people make in general, like anime or like these video games in general. It's just like they just don't show the love back. It's just weird. I don't know. There's so many rappers who big up like anime, who use like anime references in their songs and just like promote anime and stuff like that. But it's just like I don't know. I'm gonna conclude it right here. I don't like dealing with you already know I don't like dealing with the whole like racial or like political type of topics, but I don't know. This is out there as a big story, so like might as well do a video about it. So yeah, this is the big controversy going on with Final Fantasy right now, the newest Final Fantasy 16 game or not. So like I said before, I don't know. I haven't really checked this game out. This game's gonna be something up my alley, or my cup of tea. But I did enjoy 15. I enjoyed the remake of 7, so I don't know. If it's more like those games, I might pick it up. But if it's not, I might not pick it up. Like I said, like the only real bad Final Fantasy game I played that was a mainline one was 13. That one was horrible. So this is more like the more recent ones. I might pick this one up though. So I'm just rambling on at this point, but definitely see your thoughts down below about this video or about this post. Leave a like this video. As always, thanks for watching and peace.